Hello class. Today we are going to talk about section 6.2, area of a parallelogram. Before we talk about using the area formula for a parallelogram, let's first find out how we derive it. Looking at this picture of parallelogram ABCD, if we were to draw a perpendicular bisector from point A all the way down to line segment DC, we create a right triangle. If we were to cut that right triangle off and translate or slide it to the edge and connect it to the line segment BC, we now have created a rectangle. Since we have a rectangle now, we know that the area of the rectangle is length times width. When we're talking about the area of a parallelogram, though, we call it the area equals the base times the height. The base is the bottom line segment of the parallelogram. So in this case, line segment DC is our base. The height is the perpendicular line drawn from point A all the way down to line segment DC. So the altitude of the triangle that we drew, or the height of the triangle, is the height of our parallelogram. Please take a moment to pause this video and record how to derive the formula for the area of a parallelogram in your notes. Now that we know the area of a parallelogram is given by the formula A equals BH, or the area equals the base times the height, we can go ahead and use the formula. Looking at our base, the bottom line segment, we know that our base is 3 meters. Our height, the perpendicular bisector drawn from the top point all the way down to the base, is 1.8 meters. To find our area, we simply have to multiply them together. When I multiply 1.8 by 3, I get 3 times 8 is 24, carry the 2. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 2 is 5. There's one number after my decimal total, so there should be one number after the decimal in my answer, and I get 5 4/10. But I'm not done quite yet. Even though I multiplied everything like I'm supposed to, since I'm talking about area and area is a measure, it needs to include my units. Since my base and my height both had units of meters, if I multiply a meter by a meter, I get meters squared. Therefore, my area is 5 4/10 meters squared. Please take a moment to pause this video and record this example in your notes. I would again like you to take a moment to pause this video and try this example on your own. After you've tried the example, please resume the video to check your work. Looking at my parallelogram, I can tell that my base is 6 32/100 of a foot. My height is 5 6/10 of a foot. To find my area, I need to multiply those two numbers together, and I get 35 392 thousandths. But remember, since I'm talking about area and it's a measure, I need to include my units. Since my base and height were both in feet, when I multiply a foot by a foot, I end up with feet squared. Therefore, the area of this parallelogram is 35 392 thousandths feet squared. Now that I know how to find the area of a parallelogram, I can use what I know about the area to answer other questions, such as a rectangle has an area of 42 square feet. If the base is 6 feet, what is the perimeter? To solve problems that relate the perimeter and area, there are a few simple steps to follow. Step 1 is to draw a picture. Step 2, use the given information to write an equation. Step 3, solve the equation. And the fourth and final step is to answer the question. So the first thing we need to do is draw a picture. Remember, for a polygon to be a parallelogram, it just needs 2 sets of parallel sides. Therefore, all rectangles are parallelograms. So I draw my rectangle here. I know that my area is 42 square feet. And I know that the base is 6 feet. So I draw in what I know about my triangle in the picture. Now I know that to find the area of the triangle or parallelogram, it's base times height. Since I know my base is 6 feet and my area is 42 feet squared, I'm going to go ahead and substitute in what I know into that formula. 42 equals 6h. To solve for h, I divide both sides by 6 and I get h equals 7. Now that I know my base and my height, I can find my perimeter. My perimeter is twice the base plus twice the height. Twice my base is 12. Twice my height is 14. I add those together and I get 26 feet as my perimeter. Please take a moment to pause this video, record the steps and the example in your notes, and then resume and try the next problem on your own. Looking at my problem, a rectangle has a perimeter of 46 meters. If the base is 13 meters, what is the area? I know to find my perimeter, I need to add up twice my base plus twice my height. So I substitute in what I know into this formula. 46 equals 2 times 13 plus 2h. Simplifying, I get 46 equals 26 plus 2h. Subtracting 26 from both sides, I get 20 equals 2h. And dividing both sides by 2, I get h equals 10. Now that I know my height is 10 and my base is 13, to find the area, I multiply those together, and I get my area is 130 meters squared. Always remember to include your units when you are talking about perimeter and area. Before you finish taking your notes, please come up with at least 2 examples of why it is useful in everyday life to know how to find the area of a parallelogram